All right, we're talking and we're recording.
Great.
I said talking because you said I'm talking right now before we started. Now we do mic checks. We should record those and post them one day.
Oh, that'd be too funny.
Yeah, because we do mic checks and say all kind of weird stuff. But and this next topic, we're going to get into GPS trackers. Did you ever use those in law enforcement?
No.
I mean, I'm talking. You can get a warrant for one.
You can,
but I mean, I've seen it before where a lot of people say the police are tracking me. And I'm like, well, unless they have a warrant, they're not going to be tracking you. If they are, then they're wrong. But
very, very few and far between.
If you've committed a crime or they think you committed a crime, yeah, they can track your car. But they'd be violating your constitutional rights if they just did it randomly.
That's why we leave that to the feds.
Let them do that?
Yeah.
They do all the listening devices and
they do all that crap.
All the funny stuff.
Really do that.
The funny business.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we do track cars in our profession of private investigations. And I've been accused of tracking incorrectly before. We had a custody case where we were watching the other parent. It was a woman, and we were watching her abandon the children and go out drinking. She would leave a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old at home, and she'd go out to the bar and just tear it up.
Okay. Oh, you got to have priorities in life.
And we got great video of her drinking in the bar, dancing, all kind of stuff. And she said, they put a tracker on my car. And she went to the point where she put a tracker on there and tried to say we put it on there. The police called me and they asked me, he said, hey, did you put a tracker on this woman's car? And I didn't even answer a question. I said, hey, man, before I talk to you, I'd like to talk to a lawyer. But I knew good and well we didn't. But it came back to her when they went and ran the serial number and all that.
Huh, imagine that.
And we got accused of it and had some bad press on social media about it for a little while, but we didn't do anything wrong. We didn't track her. We just followed her. Okay. Now, to track a car, there has to be some ownership involved.
Right.
Now, if a woman owns a car and her husband drives it, she can hire us to put a tracker on there.
Correct.
All right. She's hiring us as a service to put a tracker on there. Some investigators get all antsy about it and they have them put it on. Have the woman put it on. That's fine. I don't agree with it. You don't have to do that, go that far. But if she owns that car, we can track it. Now, what if the woman has a restraining order against her?
Not gonna happen.
Okay, now let's get into that a little bit. I've got to the point where I say no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to track if there's a restraining order.
Right.
Now, I can follow anybody around from a public space and record as a citizen of Alabama.
Right.
And you can't do anything about it. Now, if you have a restraining order and I put a tracker and you know what that person is, then you go and harass them. We're all in trouble then, right?
Correct.
And Alabama is punishable up to 10 years. That's what it says here.
I'm not doing that. I'm too pretty to be in prison.
Too pretty to be in prison?
Yeah.
But Alabama has a code now. They used to just go off case law. But here's what it says. I had it pulled up. Juice, what happened? There it is.
No, I'm not operating that.
It says a person who, without consent of the owner or except as otherwise authorized by law, places any electronic tracking device on the property of another person with the intent to surveil, stalk, or harass, or for any other unlawful purpose is guilty of the crime of electronic stalking in the first degree, and it is a Class C felony punishable up to 10 years in jail. If they have a restraining order against you, it goes up to 20 years. How about that?
That's a great enhancement.
Yeah. The verbiage here says with the intent to surveil, stalk, or harass for any other unlawful purpose. Okay. When we put a tracker on a car, are we stalking people?
No. Well, you are, but you're not. You're doing it legally.
So stalking has to be intent on the stalker's part.
Right.
And it has to have some fear on the victim's part. Right. They had to tell you, hey, I'm afraid of you. Do not follow me around.
Right.
All right. I think that's how the law is written, right? If I don't have it in front of me.
It would be, you would have to be intent on malice.
Intent on malice, right? Now, here's without consent of the owner. That's where we get involved here. All right. If a woman owns the car and wants me to track it, I'll track it all day.
Yep.
We put it in the contract. She authorizes us to put a GPS tracker on her property. Now, who drives that property is key. If we're following her husband around and he happens to drive that property, then we're following him around and it helps us pinpoint where he is.
Right.
Here's another thing in Alabama. So if you get married, say you marry a woman, Juice.
Oh, that's a change.
All right. Say you marry a woman. And during your marriage, you go buy yourself a big fat Ford F-350, and you're the only one on the title. Who owns that car?
I do.
Does your wife own it?
Yes, she does.
She does. Even though her car name's not on there, right?
Exactly.
Alabama has, I forgot the verbiage, but it's almost like you both own it 100%.
Yeah.
Some of them do 50-50, but Alabama's like you equally own it. You're one.
Yeah.
The marriage body is one person.
Asset.
And they count it as one person, and you own that
Correct.
property. Now, what if you had your daddy's Ford Mustang, 68 Mustang? That'd be a nice car, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
What if you had his that you inherited before marriage? Does she own that?
No, because it's prior to the marriage.
Very gray. We would not track that one.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do
it.
I'm not going to get into it. Now, if you had some kind of paperwork showing that you're on the title, yes, I'm down. Right. I'm down for that. But we have lawyers that are scared to death of this law. And they don't understand the ownership part. But then we have some lawyers that are very overly aggressive, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, hang on. There's laws in place.
We had one where he said, hey, let's track that car, even though he has a restraining order. Let's track his cars, but don't tell him where they are.
Yeah, no.
I wouldn't do it. I told the lawyer, hey, let's just do this the old-fashioned way because I don't feel like dealing with it.
Yeah, let's do it legally.
Yeah. But it says a person who violates this section and whose conduct violates an existing domestic violence protection order, elder abuse protection order, temporary restraining order, or any other court order shall be guilty of a Class B felony, which can shoot you to 10 years right out the gate. Okay. Now we have cases. How many trackers we get out now, Juice? You look them up.
I don't know. There's a lot.
It's all over the state and some other states, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I count 8 that are actually active and moving around right now.
Right.
So and it's legal. They're all on there legally because they have joint ownership of those cars.
Right.
All right. Let me pull up my notes here. What happened to my notes, Juice?
Screensaver.
All right. Tell me some struggles you've seen with the trackers.
Struggles as in getting them on the vehicles?
Yeah, getting them on.
Because people are paranoid. They're going to get caught putting them on the vehicle.
You talking about investigators being a little scared?
Yes.
How would you do it if you say a vehicle's in somebody's employee parking lot? How do you do it?
Yeah, but I do it different than everybody else. I walk in that parking lot like I'm supposed to be there. I'm supposed to be doing that. Mm-hmm. I don't walk in all timid. I just walk right up, slap it on. I get up and walk away. Yeah. If you act like you're supposed to be there, you act like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
People have a tendency not to question it.
So I'm a bit of a dope. I walk around like I belong there. And if people start asking me questions, I'll be like, what do y'all do here? I think I'm supposed to be at this other, I'm good at playing off.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pull my notes up. We lost them, Juice. There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
I've dropped stuff too. Accidentally dropped stuff.
Yeah. I'll drop my keys or my phone.
Fish it out from under the vehicle, slap the tracker on and go.
So we do have a funny story. We had an investigator. She was a good investigator. She worked for me for quite a few years. Now she's working for the government. But I think she's getting doged too. I got an email from her.
Oh,
so she may be back. I don't know. We'll see. She let her PI license lapse though, but so she have to go back through all that rigmarole. But I don't think you have to take the test again, do you? You just have to reapply.
If it's within 30 days, you don't. But if you do, if it's more than 30 days, I think you have to retest.
So she's been over a year, so she would have to test again. But I guess because they say laws change, but they don't change the test. So
no.
It's funny. She was going to put a tracker on a lawyer's car. Imagine that. The lawyer cheating on his wife, right?
No.
And so he was parked outside the law firm, and she went up, got into the car. It was a Porsche.
Nice.
Now these fancy cars, Teslas, Porsches, Corvettes, any of your high performance machines, BMWs, have a lot of plastic and aluminum underneath, and their trackers don't stick.
Yeah, there's issues.
So she had to get way up under there to find some metal, put it on, slapped it on, went back and got in the car, and the guy was sitting in the car taking a nap.
That's awesome.
He didn't wake up. It scared her, you know what I mean? She said, oh, my Lord. So she just kind of whipped up next to him like he's going to do it fast and get out of there.
Yeah.
And he was in the car, and he didn't wake up. So she called me and goes, oh, my God, he was in the car. And I thought that was funny.
That makes it even.
Put him on the car. while the subject and the paramour were in the car and caught him. That's a dummy, right?
Yep.
All right. They caught him actually approaching the car, like walking up and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he goes, and turn around, like with a tracker in his hand in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
He don't work for us anymore.
No.
But anyway, that was a couple interesting ones, but we use them all the time. We get permission from the owner through a contract, and they own the vehicle. We don't have any questions about ownership, and we're going to come back in a minute and talk about some actual cases where it's paid off. But it's an interesting topic, and we're going to talk about the struggles we've had with trackers.
I just put that one on that car in Huntsville while she was getting out of the car and walking in.
All right, let's talk about it in the second part. All right. Hey, everybody, Macky here. I just want to get into what we actually do here at Macky Outlaw Private Investigators. So we conduct domestic investigations, which include your adultery and custody cases. You may have a cheating spouse that you're wanting to find out, or you may have shared custody and you're wanting to find out what the other parents are doing, maybe prove that they're not good parents for a custody modification. Also, what we do is criminal defense investigations. That's where people get in trouble and they need help proving their innocence. It could be either pre-conviction or post-conviction. So if you know people in those situations, just give us a ring. Also, we work missing person cases. That's where we track down people that are missing. It can be children, teenagers, all the way to senior adults. So if you have a case like that, how we work those cases is we use surveillance. We locate and find witnesses and interview them. Also conduct digital forensics where we extract deleted data and locate those digital artifacts to help your case. If you need those types of investigations done, you can always click the link and contact us. You can call us directly at 866-910-7499. That's 866-910-7499. Or visit us on the web at mackyoutlaw.com. Thank y'all. All right, Jus, we're back for the second part after our commercial. Do you know we have new lead-in music as well?
Again?
Yeah. It's more like
I just heard the rock riff.
It's more like a bass drum with a little dink, 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 dink. I don't know. Anyway, we keep getting hit with, let me do it again.
Yeah.
Dink, 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 dink.
Hey, that's pretty good.
We keep getting hit with copyright violations. There's no copyright on that music. It's free.
Okay.
But YouTube's little algorithm keeps pinging it. And I keep telling YouTube, hey, this ain't right. And they're like, whatever, man.
Yeah.
YouTube don't care about the little guy here in Alabama.
No, they don't. They don't care about anybody.
So we're back to the trackers. You mentioned an interesting one. Tell me about it.
Oh, yeah. We just put a tracker on a vehicle a few weeks back. Mm-hmm. And I drove around, couldn't find her because she wasn't in the parking lot where she was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And as I was making another approach to the parking lot, she came from the other direction. Mm-hmm. So I waved her through. She went around. It was a rainy day. Mm-hmm. So instead of parking across the street, she parked right at the facility she was at.
Okay.
So I pulled in right behind her. She got out of her vehicle. I got out of my vehicle. And as she's walking forward, I went up, laid down, slapped the tracker on her vehicle, stood up, got back in my truck. She never even looked back. She wasn't even at the front door yet. She had no clue what was going on.
Oh, you're good. That's funny. Yeah. I've done it many times where they're at work nearby, and I'm real fast at it.
Yeah.
I've been out with investigators training them, and they roll up under the car. If they had one of those creepers, one of those rollers,
yeah,
they'd have rolled up under that and did a full inspection. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you don't have to go that far under.
Find some metal and let's go.
Yeah.
I don't want to hang out here all day.
Yeah.
But, and at night, in people's driveways, I've seen investigators hang out forever. I'm like,
yeah, slap it on. Let's roll.
Some dog's going to bite you or they're going to come outside or something. But all you do is these little, I don't have one in front of me, but I wish I did. They're about as big around as this tennis ball, I guess, right?
Yeah, it looked like a little.
But they're flat. Puck. You know what I mean? They're flat, and they got about 50 pounds of pressure magnet on the back of them, and they're little things. And we slap them on. They call it slap and goes. We slap them on and go.
We just slapped it on that truck. Me and the other investigator the other night. It was slick.
Right. Now, are they invisible though, Jus?
No, they're not invisible.
Do they have a cloaking device on them?
No.
Some people think they should. And I'm like, no, they're not invisible. If you get up under there and you look hard enough, you know where you're looking, you're going to find it.
Yeah.
And it's not a detector. It's just a physical inspection to find these things.
Yep.
detectors don't work that great on modern cars because there's always some kind of electronic going on,
Yeah.
and it messes with them. But we get up and then just search for them, and we find them all the time. And one interesting I was going to talk about is we've had them before where they go to the mechanic shop, get lifted up to get the oil change, and mechanic's like, hey, you got a tracker on your car. I'm like, what, are you trying to be a hero here?
What a snitch.
I know. I'm like, change the oil, dude.
Yeah.
Change the air filter and let them get on with their day.
Yeah.
I see them pulled in those tire engineers or those quick lube places. I'm like, oh God, here we go. Because you got to get your oil changed, right? But
yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, they're going to, if they see it, sometimes they go in and out, no problem. I guess the guy don't look, he's just doing his job and getting out. But sometimes they'll find them, and especially with the women that have a tracker. I don't know if they're trying to be a hero.
Trying to get a date.
Be a hero here, and bothers me a little bit. But they're not invisible. I've had them before, and these things, they don't last that long, especially if the more they drive, the less they last.
Right.
You get about 8-9 days out of them. Now we have them pick up and they'll take off and drive cross country. We just had one drive from Huntsville to Cleveland, and it lasted that trip. That was it. It was dead when it got there.
Yeah.
So the more this thing's having to ping off cell towers, the more it's moving, the less the battery lasts on them. But if they're local, though, they'll last for quite some time.
Yeah.
If they stay local. And we've had good success with them. Now, we have some malfunction. They are electronics, right?
Yeah.
I've had investigators, you got the little water plug where you, weather plug, I call it. Little rubber seal. Investigators decide not to put that on there. It's there for a reason.
Yeah.
When water gets in electronics, it doesn't work very well.
No, they're not water friendly.
No, they can't. They're not. Anything else on trackers, Juice, before we get out of here?
Yeah. What about that one that got discovered and it pinged for 40 days?
Oh, yeah. One of the women we were talking about that found it on her car, the mechanic found it. So she got mad and threw it in a lake over in Huntsville, like a big pond. And these things are waterproof. And it was in the bottom of that pond, and it pinged out there for about 40 days before the battery finally went dead.
That's awesome.
So I'm looking at my other trackers. I'm like, hey, there's that one,
Yeah.
It's pinging out in the middle of the lake. But yeah, she got mad and chucked it out there. What's funny about that one is her husband, I tell him, hey, if they find the tracker, all you do, don't say, yeah, I got a PI to do it, which has happened. Tell them, hey, yeah, I've got every right to track my property. You just tell them that. And we put another one on her car. She didn't even know it. We caught her cheating on her husband many times. That woman, that went all the way to court. So she saw who, the PI and all that stuff. She actually hit me up on Facebook about a year later and offered to pay me for the evidence. And I asked her husband, I said, do you want to make some money off of her? And he goes, nah, let's don't do it. I was like, he said, I'm tempted, her ex-husband at the time.
Yeah.
He said, I'm tempted, but let's just ignore her. I said, okay. I hit him up and was like, but she offered, I could have hit her with a big number, like, $50K and see if she took it. She was a rich woman. She might have, but she wanted the evidence. She had remarried and divorced already.
Yeah. What's the common denominator there?
Some people just need to be married, Juice.
Yeah.
But, all right. What other things you want to talk about?
That was a good one.
You like that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a good one.
All right. We'll call it quits for this one. We'll be back with another one soon.
All right.